known especially for his remarkable work. Brave New World, the celebrated writer, Aldous Huxley, was born in Godalming, England, in 1894. From an intellectual family, his grandfather, T.H. Huxley, was a famous biologist and an enthusiast of Charles Darwin's ideas. Aldous was a rather shy, withdrawn child who often preferred the company of books to any other. He attended Eton College. However, at 16, he had to abandon his studies due to keratitis, a type of eye infection that left his vision impaired for a time. Recovered, though not completely, he entered Balliol College, Oxford, where he studied English literature, graduating in 1916. For a short period, he taught French at Eton and even had George Orwell, another important writer, as one of his students. In 1915, Huxley met Maria Nice, a 17-year-old Belgian refugee, and in 1919, they were married. The author loved his wife passionately, and a year after their wedding, they had a son, Matthew Huxley, who would later become an anthropologist and epidemiologist. Throughout his career, Huxley, very insecure and self-critical about his writing, was always encouraged by his beloved wife, who constantly supported him by typing what he dictated. At that time, the author contributed to a magazine called The Athenaeum, and shortly thereafter began signing a drama column in the Westminster Gazette. In 1921, he published his first novel, Crome Yellow, in which, albeit with a subtle tone of humour, he delivers a harsh critique of the high society of the time, which he considered frivolous and utterly empty. The well-known novel, Point Counterpoint, came in 1928. In this book, Huxley describes the difficult lives of couples who cannot sustain a satisfying relationship and continue living together merely out of convenience or to keep up appearances. His famous book, Brave New World, was published in 1932. A highly prominent novel, it portrays a future society completely controlled by an extremely authoritarian government. Huxley presents a world in which individuals no longer have personal freedom or the power of choice, having to resort to a drug called soma in order to feel whole. An uncannily timely work, Brave New World addresses issues of utmost importance, such as the loss of individuality, alienation, government manipulation, and the dangers that scientific and technological advances can bring, among other relevant themes presented. The book remains current, and many interpret it as a prophetic, timeless warning about the dangers of moral degeneration and the relentless pursuit of easy pleasure. It is remarkable that, writing in 1931, Huxley already envisioned a dystopian future in which science and technology would be used for purposes of social control, which lends his work an impressive power. The author anticipated concerns about mass genetic manipulation, dehumanization through consumption, and dependence on substances for emotional stability, topics that would only come to be widely debated in society many years later. The author argues that methods of social control, such as manipulation through propaganda, information overload, and chemical drugs, were becoming reality more quickly than he had predicted in 1932. Already famous, in 1937, Huxley moved to Los Angeles, in the United States, together with his wife and son, leaving Europe behind. There, he worked as a screenwriter in Hollywood, having collaborated on Madame Curie, starring Greta Garbo, Pride and Prejudice, 1940, and Jane Eyre, 1944. Beyond his film experience, it was also in the United States, through his friend and writer Henry Fitzgerald Hurd, that Huxley came into contact with Vedanta, a very ancient Hindu philosophy based on the Vedas, the sacred scriptures of India. Immersed in this philosophy and influenced by it, he wrote the book The Perennial Philosophy, published in 1945, shortly after the dreaded Second World War. In this work, Huxley mentions a kind of primordial wisdom that would be a common thread present in all spiritual traditions. Always passionate about reading, Aldous Huxley did not let any kind of writing pass him by, not only by more renowned authors, but also more unusual and even curious texts. It was thus that he came into contact with a physician, Dr. Osmond, who had written a study discussing certain substances capable of producing hallucinogenic effects. Wanting to understand these effects better, Huxley tried mescaline, a type of natural hallucinogen found in the peyote cactus. Huxley recounts this experience and reflects on it in the book The Doors of Perception, published in 1954. Although he faced some accusations of advocating drug use, for him, it was simply an experience analyzed from the objective viewpoint of a scientist confronted with a new way of seeing and perceiving reality. In 1958, Huxley revisited his dystopian universe with the non-fiction work Brave New World Revisited. In this essay, he re-examines the themes of his novel in light of political, social, and technological developments, expressing even greater pessimism about the accelerated pace at which his prophecies were being fulfilled. The band The Doors took its name from this intriguing work by Huxley, and, moreover, the author also appears on the cover of the famous Beatles album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The cover illustration is composed of countless personalities who, in some way, fascinated the members of the English band. The year after the publication of The Doors of Perception, Aldous Huxley suffered a terrible loss. His beloved wife Maria died of cancer, which she had been fighting for some time. Although deeply shaken, the writer carried on with his life, remembering Maria's advice, which urged him to live in the present moment and always move forward without looking back. And so he did. In 1956, he decided to marry again. His choice was Laura Archera, a violinist, writer, and psychotherapist, an old friend of his and Maria's, who, after Maria's death, became closer to the author. The three, in earlier times, used to see each other fairly often, and Laura felt her friend's death profoundly. Good company, intelligent and cheerful, she became a kind of assistant to Huxley, typing the texts he dictated, just as Maria used to do for her husband. The author and his new companion had countless affinities. There was never any shortage of topics or conversation between them. As the years passed, Huxley began to show signs of deteriorating health, including a certain difficulty in speaking. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with laryngeal cancer, but even weakened and ill, he gathered the strength to write his last novel, titled Island, published in 1962. In this work, he also presents an idealized society, as in Brave New World, but this time the story revolves around a utopian society in which, removed from major conflicts, people seek happiness. Despite undergoing treatment, Huxley did not survive and died on November 22, 1963 in the United States, the same date as President Kennedy's assassination. A poet, essayist, screenwriter, and novelist, he wrote numerous excellent works marked by pessimism, satire, and dystopia, among other traits. Huxley left the world a most important legacy that invites us to immerse ourselves in philosophical themes and to question our existential condition, our present life, and above all, the future.